I'm Chad Evan Collins, and this is the Marketing on Demand show. I set out to answer the million-dollar question. What is the biggest needle mover in your business, and what drives people to buy faster than anything else? Through selling over $30 million of my own products and services and setting 2 Guinness World Records for ticket sales along the way, I discovered how to move the needle consistently and quickly. If you're a marketer, e-commerce seller, entrepreneur, or founder, join me as I reveal my exact strategies and see what today's smartest business leaders are doing right now to explode their sales. Do you want to learn how to boost your sales using these methods? Text the word DEMAND to 90851. That's DEMAND to 90851. Now, here's the show. Hey, it's Chad Evan Collins here, your host of the Marketing on Demand show, where I boiled down online marketing into a simple formula anyone can use. It's the combination of awareness and response-based marketing paired with Scourgency that equals marketing on demand. Now, I want to send you my marketing on demand method for free. Just visit marketingondemand.com or text method to 90851. And today we have the honor and privilege of being joined by Clint Salter. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Clint, and we're going to get right into it here. Clint is an award-winning entrepreneur and best-selling author of 2 books. By the age of 28, Clint founded and sold 3 companies, along with being named the youngest senior celebrity agent in Australia. Today, he's the founder and CEO of the Dance Studio Owners Association, the largest community of dance studio owners worldwide. His impact reaches over 800,000 children weekly through the work he does with his dance studio owner clients, the largest impact that any dance studio educator has within the industry. He's a keynote speaker, been featured as a business expert on Good Morning Washington, ABC, Fox, Huffington Post, and more. And earlier this year, in 2020, he was celebrated further as the Gold Stevie Award winner for online training. Clint Salter, welcome to the Marketing on Demand show.
Chad, such a pleasure. Thank you for that introduction. So happy to be here and can't wait to dive in.
Yeah, and you know, for the audience's sake, Clint and I have been friends for a long time. So it's going to be an interesting interview because a lot of the things that I know and take for granted about Clint and his background are going to be new to you. So Clint, if you feel like I'm going off the rails at any point, just bring me back in and make sure that the audience is getting the value that they deserve for hanging in with us. I know the background experience that you've had as not only a dancer, but as an agent in Australia, and now as the founder of the Dance Studio Owners Association. Basically, any dance studio in the world at this point, absolutely in America and definitely in Australia, knows about the Dance Studio Owners Association. In fact, if you're a dance studio teacher or your kids go to a dance school, it's likely that the owner of that studio knows exactly who Clint is. What I want to know, when you made the transition from, operator to educator, right? When did you know that you wanted to serve the community of studio owners? Take me through that process.
Yeah, it's a really interesting process actually, because this was not where I thought I was going to end up. I just finished on tour with Jersey Boys as a touring manager, and I needed a break from the industry. I was burned out. I'd been a dance student from the age of 9, started teaching at 14, had my dance studio at 16, sold it at 21. Started Dance Life, which was a dance competition and an online magazine for dancers, sold that business, as you mentioned, was an agent, then went on to Jersey Boys. And so I was like, I need a break from this world for a little bit. What I knew, though, is that I come from a family of teachers and I love teaching. Like, for me, it was always about that experience of sharing knowledge and wisdom for people. I was never like, I want to be on stage. I was never that kid that loved recitals and performing. I was like, I like performing, but if the teacher said, oh, Clint, can you like take the class for 5 minutes while I go to the bathroom? I was like, yes, like that's my time to shine. And so when I came back from Jersey Boys, I just started playing around with consulting to different companies. And I was always known for being able to attract new customers into the businesses that I had. And so I thought it's really natural. Why don't I teach all businesses how to get customers into their business? And so I did that for a little while. And a dance studio came to me and said, hey, from my previous business, hey, can you help me? And I was like, I didn't really want to say yes, because I was like, it's like chapter 1 of my life. I'm in chapter 2. I kind of want to leave it there. But she asked me very nicely again, and I said, okay. And so I started working with her on growing her studio. And what I realized through that process was like, I know this industry like the back of my hand. It's been a part of my life for so many years. I've been working inside of dance studios for many, many years. And so I was like creating these systems and processes, and I was just like making stuff up really, and using some things that I did in my studio, and started to work, started to get results. She told her friends, I started getting more studio owners. And then in 2014, I had about 180 one-on-one clients in all different industries. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to focus on dance studio owners for a year. It was a 12-month experiment, because if it was forever, I wouldn't have done it. I would have been too scared. And so I said, I'm going to do it for a year. And the reason I did that was I was like, there's not that many dance studios in the world. Can I make a full-time career out of this? Can I create a business out of this? I was not known in the US at all at that point. I had built some companies in Australia, so I was known in our industry there, but there's only about 5,000 studios in Australia. So I was like, let's do it as an experiment. That was, the end of 2014, and the experiment went well. I fell back in love with this industry, and it's just been an incredible journey from that time. I made that commitment to serve a niche deeply, right? So when we think about that, my messaging is broad. We cover everything inside of the dance studio space. We're talking about marketing and leadership, operations and finances, but I go deep into that niche, and we only serve dance studio owners.
So you created the Dance Studio Owners Association, and I want to hone in on the term association, because there are so many people that serve a niche, that serve a market, and they do it with either a book or a course, right, or a challenge that they could go through. But you've actually taken one step back, where you created this umbrella of an association. And I want to learn, like, what was your thought process there? Like, why did you go the association route? And I also think that it's a scary word for some people, where they might think, well, who am I to say I am the association, right?
Right.
So why did you go that route? And then what advice would you give someone if they're thinking about starting their own association?
Sure. So firstly, I was very naive, because when I started the association, I was still in Australia, and in Australia, you can call your business like whatever you want, right? And so the Dance Studio Owners Association, DSOA, I was like, yeah, cool. That sounds good. And the association idea actually came from Ryan Levesque, which is where we met in his mastermind. And I'll backtrack a little bit, because what I was doing is I was selling a 12-week course. It was called Studio Success Formula. The made-up company at that time was called Studio Success Formula. And I was selling a 12-week course through a webinar. And I did that for like 7 months. I was just like running these webinars. I was doing them live every single week, just selling like one program. What I did do though with that program is I was selling it for $5.99 to buy it. You figure it out yourself, or pay $3.99 plus $47 a month for our VIP group. And our VIP group became our recurring revenue of the $47 a month. Then when I started working with Ryan, he was like, oh, there's something here. I think that you could run the association for studio owners and carve that $47 a month out as a subscription that people can just subscribe to. So and then now when I talk to people and I say it's the association, they're like, oh, wow. So like, are you not for profit? Are you for and I'm like, oh, I had no idea about this when I originally created it. Because for me, it was just, I just registered the business name and I was like, good to go. So I think I was lucky because I didn't overthink it. I didn't have any of those thoughts of like, who am I to run an association? I was like, well, it's just the name of a business.
So what advice now would you give to others? Because when you say you're an association, it instantly comes with authority, right?
100%.
Because, and you were naive to this, but in the States, it's all right, there's an association. That means like, because I'm a member of the association, I get some things, right? Like I get to say next to my signature, maybe that I'm a member of the association, right? Yeah. Or I get access to certain things every single month, or I get something I could put on my door as an establishment that says, my storefront is part of this association, or what have you. So what advice would you give to others about starting an association?
I mean, do it. It's been incredible. I think that, yes, I was naive to it, but it has definitely been helpful to us, especially when it comes to standing out, because there are plenty of people in our market who are also educators of studio owners. And a lot of them are my friends, and they always say, geez, you got a good name. Geez, you got a good name with DSOA. And we did. And so I would say totally go for it. Don't overthink it. I mean, I didn't, because I didn't realize the magnitude of the name that I was casting on this business. But it's been very successful for our business. It's been great for building partnerships with other companies. It's been great for companies reaching out to us. In the last couple of years, we've had casting agents, production companies for television shows, lots of people reaching out when they want access to dance studio owners. And that has been very beneficial to us, but also our members who we serve. So yeah, I mean, I would just say go for it.
In a sense, you become the glue of the industry.
Yeah.
Because we just take dance studio owners. If I'm a new dance studio, I want to create a new dance studio in my community. I'm looking for the association to join. Like I'm seeking that out because I want information about how to make my studio better. Mm-hmm. So it's super powerful. Now let's talk about, all right, once people join the association, we need to keep them engaged. Right? It's a monthly membership. In some cases, it's a yearly membership. I know you have different levels, and we can get into that. But what do you do now to keep them engaged, to make them feel good about the association that they just joined?
Sure. So we're really, we serve an incredible audience, first and foremost. 98% female, all dance studio owners, highly creative, love connecting with each other, love being part of a community. And I think it's the same for any business owner, because often it's very isolating. Your partner doesn't understand. You can't go to your team members to talk about what's going on in your head or in your business. And so having a safe place to be able to share and be around like-minded people who get it. They get the conversation about the crazy dance parents, or they get the conversations around refunds of costumes because of COVID ruined recital. They understand these conversations, and that in itself is eye-opening to so many people that join us, because they're like, I felt so alone and I never knew that people had the same problems that I did. And so we kind of standardize what's going on for these owners. And because they love community, there's a lot of engagement, there's a lot of chatter, there's a lot of questions, there's a lot of helping each other as well, which is one thing that I love about our community, is they're there to help each other. So the first piece is community. Often people come to me and say, Clint, I want to start a membership or a subscription and I want to build community. But and we can talk about what else goes into that, because it's a lot more than putting a group of people in a Facebook group. right? You need community leaders, you need mentors in those groups, you need to be able to produce content that helps them get results, that isn't hard for them to implement. Our audience isn't overly interested or excited by sitting down and watching technology tutorials on how to use things, right? Or how to use Facebook ads, or how to set up Asana for project management. And so we've got to get them doing these things, but we've got to make it exciting and interesting and quick and easy to implement. So a lot goes into our curriculum design, our lesson designs, who we bring in to speak to our members. We have, as you mentioned, different levels of membership. And in our Inner Circle program, we bring in multiple speakers for our retreats, for our monthly pro classes. And so community is important, curriculum is important, fast wins, easy to implement, remove the friction. I often see with people who are producing content that want to teach is there's too much friction, right? They send them like a 5-hour video or a booklet to read like every month. You don't need to do that to show value. Value is in convenience. Value is in how quickly they can implement, and then the results that they can get. If you can do that in a 10-minute video, they'll be thanking you. They'll be saying, thank you for giving me the gold in the 10 minutes, instead of building something where you tell me all about the what and the why, and then you finally get to the how, and I'm just frustrated because I spent 5 hours watching this when you could have told me in 10 minutes. So speed to implement through great content that is easy to digest is so crucial, especially now, because like how many things are out there for them to consume? I said on a training call today, someone's like, oh, do we get access to XYZ? And I was like, you do not need more information. You actually need to do the work. You need to implement. And a big piece of what we do at DSOA is getting them focused. We have a lot of planning systems, our 3-year vision, 12-month plan, 90-day plans, 30-day plans that we walk our members through, where we only allow them to focus on 3 things every 90 days. So getting them focused, then providing them the coaching to get the result, because the value is in getting them unstuck and keeping them having momentum continuously. That's key.
You know, if I could boil down into 3 words a lot of what you just said, it would be more isn't more.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There is, I believe, a big misconception out there that I need to create all of this content. I need to create all of these videos. I need to create all of these templates. I need to create all of these PDFs and have so much content because they feel like the product that they need to deliver has to match in quantity to the price that someone is paying. Where if you could find, and what they're paying for is the result, like you mentioned. They're not paying for your stack of books, right? They're not paying for this, for 9 hours of videos, right? They're paying for the result that you promised. And the faster you can deliver that result, guess what? They're going to want the next result, and they're going to stay on. So more isn't more. I think is a way to boil that down. So well said by you. I do want to talk about though the events that you have, because I know that you were doing 2, I think it was 2 live events a year, one in Australia, one in the US.
We were doing 4 actually. We're doing two in the US, 2 in Australia.
Right, and now obviously you've had to do them virtually, which you have, and you've done it virtually. It's been a very difficult time, especially for dance studio owners, where for a long time, they weren't able to have in-person classes. You, I know, needed to get educated very quickly in learning how your studio owners could keep memberships, right? Could keep enrollment at a certain level where they wouldn't lose their studios, and keep engaging content. I can imagine not only for your studio owners, but for you, that was a very difficult time. But because they were a member of the association, because you were their guiding light, they felt that, you know what, Clint has my back. So I'd like to hear, I guess it's a 2-part question. A, what did you do for your studio owners during that very difficult period? And then B, how are you now bringing people together for live events, and what types of things are you doing on those live events to keep them engaged?
Sure. So yes, it's been a very interesting, nearly a year, right? And the first thing we had to do in 4 days was to create a virtual option for our studio owners to transition into. So the team got to work. I think it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, presented on Monday. Here is how you take your business virtual. And we put together a virtual dance studio handbook. So I had a big handbook that walked through step by step. Here's the technology you use. Here's how you communicate to your parents, because a big mistake a lot of studios did, because they didn't think it was going to go on for very long, is they're like, oh, we'll just run free classes online for everyone. And the first thing I said to our studio owners was, you are charging the same amount for these online classes as you do for your in-person classes. And so we did a lot of training. We ran over 200 sessions for our members over 6 months. We did a lot of training around communication and how to share the value that these online classes provide, because people were just not marketing them in the right way. And the parents then couldn't see the value and they weren't enrolling. And so a lot of studios saw a big dive in numbers just because their service was still incredible, but they just couldn't communicate it in the right way that showed the parent value. And so we did lots of trainings, brought in a lot of different experts. We brought in sales experts to talk about sales conversations. We brought in marketing experts. We brought in experts around how to work with children with depression. And because, there's been a lot, especially with those older students who need that support and connection, which they haven't been getting online. And so how to deal with that. Leadership experts, you had your teachers in studio with you, and now they're teaching class in their kitchen. How does that feel for them? We had teachers that didn't want to teach anymore. And now we're at a point where some studios are open, some studios are still not open. Some studios can have 5 kids in a class, some can have 15 in the class. Some are dancing in their car park, some are dancing on, racetracks. Some did drive-in recitals where they stream the recital on the big screen. And so it's been a year of innovation, resilience, and persistence. I've just been so proud of our owners who have stepped up to the plate. But our team has worked incredibly, incredibly hard to keep as many of our studio owners in business as possible. I remember that day waking up and I was like, okay, we've got a decision. We can either lead or we can follow. And let's just lead. Let's really step up to the plate and show the industry that we are here to support them. And we did a lot of free trainings as well as a lot of additional trainings for our paid members. But that was a responsibility that we had to ensure that our industry is going to be around next year.
If anyone is listening or watching and they want to know, what traits a leader has, just re-listen to those last 5 minutes and you'll know, because Clint stepped up. He intentionally figured out in a very short period of time. I'm guessing this is in March, right, Clint? So
yeah, it was in March.
So in March, right, we go into shutdown, and immediately Clint goes, all right, we've got to figure this out, because in 4 days we're going to present to our community how they could stay in business. And without Clint leading the way for his community, more of those businesses go under than would have. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you saved jobs, you saved studios, and you made sure those kids that are enthusiastic about learning dance still had a place to go.
Yeah, that was our goal. And our team were incredible. Our coaches, our operations team, our marketing team, everyone put up their hand and said, I'm with you, let's do it. And so that was a blessing as well, because I know people that are running businesses and their team were like, peace out. I'm dealing with a whole lot of stuff myself. I'm not going to be a part of this.
Now let's talk about your higher ticket program, the Inner Circle members, and the events that you have now that are virtual.
Sure.
I think there are a bunch of people out there that have hosted, whether they're small gatherings of 5 or 10 people or large where, 50, 100 plus. Everyone's moving now to the Zoom conferences. But when you're doing a Zoom conference, you can't just like sit in front of the mic, right? Or sit in front of the screen like we are now and assume that everyone watching is going to be totally cool with you just kind of sitting there and presenting whatever you would have presented at a live event. That's just not going to fly. I know that you have found ways to keep the energy level high during the event, to create activities that the audience can participate in during the live event. Can you take me through some of those things, like how to keep your Zoom room, your virtual live event, engaged and excited from beginning to end?
Sure. So one of the things that we do is it's very heavy on the guest speaker side of things. So no session goes over an hour, and we are bringing in, we had 7 guest speakers across 2 days in our last retreat, and incredible speakers. And we just keep cycling through new people, new concepts, new energy, new ways of teaching, people using slides, no slides, in a studio, fancy whiteboards. A guy came in and played the drums. I mean, very, very different types of speakers that can engage people in different ways, because no matter what you do, whether you do a yoga class at the beginning or you do trivia, we did trivia one evening, still the bulk of your conference is going to be people sitting and listening to educators. And so if that's the case, how can you make that more exciting? And so looking for great speakers who aren't just going to sit as a talking head on Zoom or click through a bunch of boring slides is so important, right? We've all been in the event room when there's been a bad speaker and you're like, oh, get me out of here, but you can't leave. Whereas Zoom is very different because you can leave, right? You can just put it on mute. I know a guy that did like a recording of him where it was him like just like nodding his head and things for like 10 minutes and just put it on loop. I mean, there's so many things we can do now to disengage. We can be sitting, watching a Zoom, checking our email, watching another video with subtitles on YouTube. You want to engage your members. And so setting the expectation up front, we're very clear. We do a pre-event meeting with all of our members where we share with them how to get the most out of the event. And then I re-go through some of that at the beginning of the event. We mention things to them like book a hotel room, get a babysitter for your children, go and treat yourself, like get out of the house, don't be in the same environment. So we give them these things before the event so that they can be very focused and in a different environment that is like a treat for them, really.
Yeah, so pre-framing of the event seems really important. So they know they're showing up to the event. It's like, make sure that the people that are around you know that you're actually at an event today. Like you're not here.
Yeah. Mummy's away for 2 days. Go to dad. Get him to do some work. And so, yes, that's what we do. We really set the expectation up front. We re-go through it again. And it's just, we have short sessions as well. We have 30-minute guest speakers that come in who are our elite members, our studio owners doing over $1 million in their business. They come in and present short sessions as well. We do breakout rooms during lunch where they're themed rooms. So if they want to eat on their own, awesome. They want to still be engaged in chat, they can. We do hot seats where we're in breakout rooms and they help each other with challenges. It's a nice mix of incredible speakers, great engagement, great sessions, good content. We don't do anything fancy, right? Like this is how I talk, the background I have now. This is exactly what I've got going on. I'm not building a sound stage, not doing anything crazy, because for me, that is like great for like 5 minutes. And then it's people are immune to it and they're just tuning into the content and trying to get value out of whatever is being presented. And so we put our time and energy into speakers and the experience versus like let me, go and rent a stage and make it look incredible. I want to, and our members love it, which has been awesome.
That's great. And being an association, I'm just wondering, in combination with the live events, have there been other businesses that have wanted to sponsor your live events, or like have a booth or have a sponsored message to your members, because in fact you are the Dance Studio Owners Association?
Yeah, we've been approached a lot about sponsorship, about strategic partnerships. It hasn't been something that I've explored fully, really, just because of resources. And when you think about, for us, the sponsorship dollars, we've got other things to focus on that bring more value to the business than bringing sponsors on board and managing those sponsors. So we've done a couple of strategic partnerships, one's with a website company, a Facebook ads agency, an accounting firm, and they work with our studio owners. And that's great because they can more quickly implement systems and processes than the studio can do alone. So we love those partnerships because it makes our studio owners more successful. And then we've had companies like the costume company that, wants to come to a retreat and talk to our members. And we've done that once or twice, but it's not something that we have really, dived into any deeper.
As we round the corner on this interview, Clint, I've got 3 quick questions for you.
Right.
Let me give these cards a shuffle.
I like the cards.
Right. We need to have props. We need to have props here on the Marketing on Demand show. We're going a little old school. Name a cool tool or an app or an extension that you're using right now.
I don't know the name of it, but it makes videos go faster on Facebook.
Oh, like you can actually do 2x, 3x, 4x?
Yes.
It's it's an extension of some kind?
It's an extension. It is called, let me see here. I'll try and find it. It is called Video Speed. So it's a Chrome extension, very nicely named, Video Speed. And so that was my pain, is I need to listen to this, because I listen to everything on 2 times. And so on Facebook, I was like, I need to listen to this faster. And so I'm loving that.
That's a great tool. Good productivity hack.
Yes.
Name a book or podcast you love and why.
Oh my goodness. So my favorite book in the world is The Road Less Stupid. It's by Keith Cunningham. We actually had him speak at our last retreat. My favorite business book in the world, followed by No Rules, which is a new book by Reed Hastings from Netflix. Completely shifted my mind around leadership and building our team. Incredible. They're my top 2 business books.
How cool was that to have that author of your favorite book speak at your event?
It's been years in the making. I reached out to him, I think about 3 years ago. And every retreat I reach out can we do it yet? Can we do it yet? Can we make it work? And he finally gave us a yes and just blew everybody away. Insanely incredible, man.
All right. And finally, I can't wait to hear the answer to this, actually.
I'm nervous.
Who is one person that inspires you?
Who is one person that inspires me? I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is my mom. My mom is an incredibly resilient human being, brought me up on her own as a single mom in public housing, worked 2 jobs to get me through dance classes, was working at the office at the dance studio to pay for my classes, and has been such a cheerleader for me in everything that I've wanted to do. At 21, saying, "Hey, Mom, I need 20 grand to build my first website." She's like, "Well, off you go to the bank." I went to 4 banks. I got 3 loans, 1 line of credit for this first website that I built. And she never said to me, in all of my craziness, running a dance studio at 16, she never said, "Oh, that's not a good idea. You need to go to university, or you need to get a real job, or like, what's the backup plan? Like, I never heard those words out of her mouth. And I think that, well, I know that that has a huge amount to do with where I am today, because she never put a lid on my dreams, on my imagination. And a lot of stuff I did, like, didn't work. There's a lot of businesses I started that failed, you know, but she was always like, you got it. Like, keep going. I'm proud of you. Just keep doing it. And she's been like that in her life as well. You know, she battled cancer a couple of years ago, and it was a horrific year for her, and she's such a trooper. And so, yeah, I'm very, very grateful for her selecting me, or me selecting her, however it worked. And she's the ultimate inspiration for me. And then there's lots of business leaders and lots of amazing people, but you know, I wouldn't be where I am today without her encouragement and just excitement for what I was doing, and being encouraging.
Yeah, that support system is so important. And when someone doesn't put any limiting beliefs on you right from the outset, that produces extraordinary entrepreneurs like you, Clint. How can people follow along? Where can we learn more about Clint Salter?
Follow along, go to dsoa.com. You will find everything about running a dance studio there. We have a podcast, we have blogs, we have free downloads. You can go to my website, clintsalter.com. That has some details about me. Find me on social media, reach out if you've got any questions. I love connecting with other people who are doing incredible work in the world, and happy to help you any way that I can.
Thanks so much for coming on the Marketing on Demand show, Clint.
Thanks, Chad. Absolute pleasure, as always.
And if you want to learn more about the Marketing on Demand method, just visit marketingondemand.com or text the word method to 90851. I'm Chad Evan Collins, and this has been the Marketing on Demand show. Hey, real quick, if you enjoyed this episode, please let me know by rating this podcast and leaving me an honest review. If you found this episode useful for your business, take a screenshot and tag me on Instagram at chadcollins.me and use hashtag marketingondemand. That way I'll be able to see it and repost it. I also created a guide of the top 40 ways people are using marketing on demand strategies and tactics in their businesses. And I want you to have it for free. Just text GUIDE, GUIDE, to 90851 and I'll get it right over to you on demand. Until next time, I'm Chad Evan Collins, and this has been the Marketing on Demand show.